Well, hello there, Miss Tania. Welcome to the Nutra Narratives podcast. It's so exciting to have you with me today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here too. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Tania, you
Yes,
are not from America. Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
Wow, you left such a beautiful country to come here.
Yeah, uh, when the God has some plans for you, we just have follow Him. Follow His plans. That's why we end up coming here. Yeah.
There you go. So, what brought you to America? What was God's reasoning for you to come here?
Well, my husband came in to do his PhD in UCR and like environment. And when I come here, I get the opportunity to start to study and learn how to speak English. And then I work in all my papers and then I apply for my master's in Loma Linda University.
Oh,
Mhm.
fantastic. Very good. So then, what sparked your love for nutrition?
Um, I my bachelor's was in nutrition. And when I came here, I was between doing my nutrition or go to the medical school. So I pray God and ask Him like a sign to give Him like the answer I wanna, but His will, His will. So I pray and God opens like the impossible ways for me to be approved at Loma Linda. I say impossible because the time for registration has already passed. All the things like looks like was very like unusual to happen. So when I say, God, nothing is impossible for you. For me, have the assurance that I need to go to the nutrition or the medical school. This miracle must happen. If you don't open the door for me to do my MS in nutrition and be a dietitian, I will understand that I should go to the medical school. And by that time, I was already approved at La Sierra University. So, and then I say, for that time was when the God just make things happen. And I remember that I was in Dr. Horsham. I was volunteering there and her officer. And then all the faculty came. And that day I was fasting, I was praying, and I say, God, give me the answer because I need to move on. I needed to keep it going. And then that day I remember was a Wednesday. I saw a lot of movement right there. I got excited. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And then I saw the entire faculty come down to the little officer and they say, Tania, we are here to welcome you to the nutrition and dietetic program. Oh my gosh, I tear because it's so emotional. It was the day that I knew for sure that I should go to the nutrition and not to the medical school because it was like I say, it was kind of impossible. And by that time, the application has already gone, was already only for the next year. But I asked, no, I needed the answer for this year. Then I will know because you make things impossible. And then if you open, I know for sure that this is the thing that I should do it. That's why I end up going to the nutrition that I'm happy to follow God's, you know, will. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. So you were just really relying on God to show you the way, and He opened the door very clearly
Oh
for you.
yes. Oh yes.
Very nice. So then, schooling,
Yes.
during schooling, was it a walk through the park? Was everything just going your way so smoothly, or were there some challenges?
Oh my gosh. I wish things were easy. But no, I did have a lot of challenge. including after, I got this answer from God. As an international student, I needed to have a private loan. For that, I needed a co-signer. And by the time I didn't have uh, anyone, and I got it like in the last minute that I needed, or drop, or keep it going. And I remember that I was going to the school as like I was already like have pay everything, I was clean everything, but not. I was just going to the school to my faith and say, God, you show me that I should come here. Now you know that I needed to pay my school, that I needed to keep it going, to be here. I need to solve those things that I don't know how.
Wow.
So for that time, I remember that at the day that I should drop, I went to the Mrs. Scotch officer to drop, to took the phone, make some calls, and then they give me like 1 month, and then I could like have access to the canvas, to the entire system, as every other student who already paid, and I didn't pay anything. I was just they give me more time, and then 2 weeks later, and this within this time, God just sent someone to be my consignment, and I was able to pay my entire year for that time. And then every year I have the same problem. And
Oh,
then the
the same
last
problem. It was solved for 1 year,
for 1 year,
then and then it was always the same problem though.
always. And
Oh,
then the top on the problem, like in the next and other years, I had also my visa situation,
oof.
where my husband, as a postdoctoral student, the university like pay him to do like his research, and then that's why we survive here, because um, he's full time in there and I'm a full time student. I wouldn't be able like to work and at the same time deal with the school. So
Right.
he's the only one who provide. So and then every year, like after my first year, um, we get the situation that, oh, you needed to review your visa, but then we don't have more money anymore. You need to find another sponsor, otherwise you need to find another job. We don't have. It's like, I think my husband never like, I think it was like six. I think in 1 year his boss told him to find another job. I think for like six following months.
Oh,
Like every month we were like, is the last month in West, is the last month in West, is the last month in West. And then on the top of that, I also had to find a co-signer. So and then the last minute, God always
whew.
provide someone, and somehow his boss say, oh, don't worry, I got a money. I got some company or some country that wanted to do research on this specific thing, plan to solve this or that. And then we end up we got solving all the time.
All the time.
Every time.
But could you imagine, you also have two sons who are in school, so
Mhm.
they also needed financial help too.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it's not easy. It has been like it's. I think I see each problem the way I see it, it's like a huge mountain. You know, that looks like doesn't have way to cross, to climb. But then God help it every time. When you think there is no way anymore, there is God anymore. Again, helping every time. And this year in January, like since like October, November, he spent like 4 months going to work without being paid. I know that was like hard time for us, but God never leave us in the situation that we couldn't pay our rent, that we couldn't put gas. Always, I remember sometimes always going to the church at the Bible Lab in Loma Linda University,
Yeah.
and then somehow anonymous envelope. Oh, are you Tania Barros? Yes, I am. There you go. This is for you.
What?
What is that? Who sent this? Oh, somebody just sent that. And then I was several times. And then I got in this envelope. Usually they have some kind of money, some kind of cash, sometimes book. Say, you is gonna pass this. You're gonna go through this. God's gonna help you. There's a lot of like cards, like with encouragement message and always cash. Always cash. It was
Wow.
amazing.
Did you
I
know?
just
Did you
I
know who those people were?
no, I never knew
Oh
who
my
those people
goodness.
were. Never. And just even in school, sometimes Mary Kay called me, Tanya, there is an anonymous envelope in your lock. And then for my surprise, oh, anonymous envelope, yes. And then when I get there, it was a gift. It was a card, and encouragement message, and money. And then for me it was so special that I saw this money something like was holy. I was sure that that was answers that God given me. That was God working
Yeah.
somehow. He would show me, hey, I know you are going through this whole situation. I remember I am here with you. So don't be discouraged because I am here showing that at every card that I got, that's the message that I get for God, that He
Oh,
was there. It's like I remembers that don't worry, just trust. Just trust. And that's
so beautiful. Could you imagine, Tanya, like from the very first quarter, and it seems like almost every quarter, you always had to have that, okay, is the money going to come in? It was not like you could just, sail through the 3 years, the past 3 years, and say, okay, I'm not going to worry about money at all, really.
um,
But you always had to, oh no, okay, for the next quarter, pretty much every quarter, it
every
almost seems
year.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
every
every
year.
year. And but also even like like you say, some quarters I have a challenge too because of my visa.
Oh, the visa on top of that.
Yeah, because if it doesn't have if it we didn't have like a visa renewed, we couldn't like stay here. We have to go back to Brazil. Like in this year, for example, that was very tough for us in January, especially. We ended up like my husband couldn't find a sponsor anymore. Like he was working like for 4 months without getting paid, and he was looking like long time for a sponsor for another department who could say, hey, okay, we want you here, so they could renew the visa. And then we end up at the end, and the grace period is the time like when your visa expires. You have like 30 days, like to wrap everything that you had, take your luggage, buy your ticket, and go back to Brazil, all solve those things. And I remember it was the last week, this 30 days grace, the last week. My husband said, yeah, I think I'm gonna buy some more luggage because I don't see how this is gonna work. It's already a last day. And then we told God that we don't want to spend here one day illegally, We wanted things like right. And then He's powerful. He has shown He's powerful. He has been helping us all this time. We trust Him. I told my husband, well, for God, nothing is impossible. I believe we should have 1 week, one day. It's a lot for God. Maybe today is gonna have something. And I remember in the Friday, my husband get a phone call, say, Jamie, come here to my office. And then my husband went there and they say, well, we get a position for you. And then with like 3 days, our visa was renewed until like August.
Wow.
So this year, it was just
This
amazing.
year. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a miracle.
It is. It is.
God really honors the faith and trust that you and your husband and your sons have in him.
It was interesting you mentioned also my sons because uh, we're going through this every year, like you mentioned, and each quarter and all the situation. And I think we kind of reserve who is gonna like stand up with the most faith for the moment. I remember that God used my sons a lot. And then when my husband was just like, oh, I don't know, like giving up, or even when I was giving up, my kids, even the youngest, will say, how are you gonna give up? No, don't you see that God always help us?
Wow.
Don't you see? This is gonna be solved. Relax. Everything is gonna be okay. It was so fun. I was like, what?
Wow. You and your husband really though have brought them up in the ways of the Lord, that they grew up watching you and your husband just fully trust in God. So when they see you guys, yeah, going at
Yeah,
this
that
way,
was
they're
very
like, hey, wait a
fun.
minute. Remember, you've been trusting in God.
Uh-huh. Exactly. That was very interesting. Every time someone was just giving up, someone from our family just to stand and say, hold on,
That's a
keep in
beautiful.
trust, because God is gonna answer. This doesn't make sense. He helped us all this way through, and
That's
now he's just gonna live like, oh, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's not God. That's not our God.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, what a miracle just right there.
Uh,
Okay. So Tanya, recently this last quarter of your
mhm.
schooling of your third year, you actually got sick and you had COVID-19.
Yes, I
Oh
did.
man. How
I
do you
did.
think you got that? It's probably hard to pinpoint, but is there a
I
way you could
know.
figure it out?
Well, I remember that I was in quarantine like since February, since before the mandatory quarantine. I was home pretty much, being like take care of all the things. And I think as soon as I start going to my clinical rotations, that's when I got a COVID.
Mm.
Can be for some patients, or can be for some, I don't know, someone who is not symptomatic. I don't know. It just was exactly when I started to go to my clinical and see patients that I
Yeah.
got sick.
So then you had to stop your clinicals for a few weeks,
Yes.
obviously, because they would have sent you home, which they did.
Hmm.
But how did that affect you? What were the symptoms you were feeling? What did you go through with
Uh,
COVID-19?
I remember that I think it was the first thing that I felt was a strong headache, as I never had before. That
Oh,
headache was in the middle, like the night, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And I remember the headache was so strong. I never had some kind of headache like that. It's like even my scalp, everything was so painful. Even my pillow, I could like lay down, it hurt so much.
no
And
way.
the headache woke up me every night, like for 2 following nights. That was the first thing that I say, oh, something is not right here, you
Uh-oh.
know. And then later, I start fever, and I start to feel some kind like sadness, some kind like depression. It's like I don't want to do anything anymore. It's like I don't have will, like goal, desire. Just it's a strange feeling. I think that's why people feel so depressed, during this COVID, and totally makes sense, And I get a fever, and I had all this. We feel so like fatigued,
Mm.
so weak, so just it's very tough. It was very tough, I pretty much rest. The hydration was something very important. It's like you'll never end to feel thirst. The thirst is so constantly.
Yeah.
Your appetite decrease. My appetite decreased a lot. I did have some shortening of the breath. Dizziness and cough. We have this feel like I had this feel like I was congested. My nose was congested, but there is nothing there. It was dry. Everything was dry. It's like everything was congestion, but everything was dry. It's interesting. It's very like it's different for everything that I have feeling.
So didn't feel like going through the regular flu like what we've
Oh
all
no,
gone through in the past.
no. I mean, when you go to the regular flu, I think I had flu several times. We still have, the first 2 days, sometimes you get a fever, but then you take some Tylenol or Advil or those kind of things, drink a lot of water, and then you can go to work or go to study or just stay 2 days at home and it's fine. But you don't lose like this energy, your goals. You don't feel depressed because of flu. And I remember that was the thing that I felt. I felt so depressed. I just don't want to do things. I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to do anything. I don't want to like set up goals or have the energy to do this. I usually was so active in the school. I have several meetings. I like to organize things, to make things happen. No, I just don't want to do anything. Just stay home and just that. I
Yeah.
don't want to do anything else anymore.
Did anybody else get affected with
Yes,
COVID-19 in
my
your family?
son.
Your
hmm
son. Okay.
My oldest son, he was the one who was driving me to do the test. And I remember the day I was very sick, fever, and I was sneezing a lot and coughing. And then he was with the mask. And then, even though I was way back on my SUV, he still got, and all the, yeah, he still got the COVID, and he got it for me. Yeah.
Wow. But not your husband and not your other son.
No, if they got, they didn't feel a pain in the news because they have none symptoms, and I'm so glad that they didn't have it because my youngest son, he was 16. He was the one who was cooking, who was making meal for me and for my oldest, and my husband. He was the one who was taking care of like the juicing and the medications, like for fever or tea, whatever we needed to, help us get through this. He was the one who was taking care of this part. And my young son, he was the one who was feeding us.
Oh, he had to
Uh,
learn how to be a chef in a short amount of time. That's awesome. You
yeah,
know that your son and your husband were able to just serve you, take care of you, and
yeah,
uh, and then eventually you were able to heal both you and your son.
yeah. Thank you, God, with all the love, with all the care. you know, God help us to go
Yes.
through the situation. It wasn't easy, especially because when you go home, we don't have any specific medications to treat the situation. Usually the doctors, I asked the doctor, I remember an appointment, and he say, no, we don't have any medication to prescribe for you. Just stay home, get isolated, and then go to the market, like any like market where I have like flu medication and take something like that. That's what we can
That's
do.
it. That's all that you were told to do.
That's all. So pretty much, um, here we have to come up with ideas. It was pretty much
Yes. Share that with
juicing.
us. What helped you? Since we're going to talk about nutrition now, what nutrition helped you get better?
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of follow my gut in the way, like feeling how um, I just reject anything that was industrialized processed food. You know, anything that has preservative, conservative, anything that could harm. I just my body could deal with. The only thing that I was able to eat and feel nourished and feel good was like food made from the scratch, with a lot of fruits, vegetables. We make it juice like 3-4 times a day. You know, the juice like is low masticator, then you put it there, the break enzymes and vitamins, and you get the concentrated juice. We pretty much use peppermint. We use ginger. We use carrots, apples, um, pineapples, and then we drink like this concentrated juice like 3-4 times a day, plus the meal that my lovely son make for us, you know, always with some kind of protein or eggs and a lot of vegetables, everything like from the scratch, like
Beautiful.
soups. And that's how we deal with the situation, and thank you God we are here.
Yes, you're here. You're looking great. You're doing so well. And I'm so grateful. Whew. You and your son
Oh,
survived it very
yeah,
successfully. And so,
yeah.
Tania, what are 3 nutrition practices that you like to do on a regular basis?
I I'm a water lady. I love drinking water. I always want to make sure that I drink, you know, enough water. That's a number one. And I always ask my kids, hey, have you drinking water today? Or even when they
That's
go out,
awesome.
have you get like at least 2 bottle of waters? You make sure that you have your water with you, you know. And then what is the number one? And another thing I like a lot of like juicing. You know, like it's concentrated juice. I am still keeping this as a habit. And that's interesting because my kids love, and when they don't do, it's mom, we are missing that. It's not like we drink all the juice what you buy, or we just make some juice and put a lot of water. It's different. I feel like nourished when I drink like more juice, like concentrated juice, and I say, okay, this is good. So, and I like a lot of vegetables too. So eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Make food from the scratch. You
There
know,
you go.
yeah. I think.
Excellent. Those are excellent. Great. So, Tania, what advice would you give someone who is struggling in life and they see that, whoa, this is a difficult situation that I'm in? What advice would you give them?
Oh, for sure. I have here my Bible, and those are the verse that I kindly, you know, that I hold it to when I was going through a lot of situation, especially right now. That despite all this COVID thing, we also get a visa issue again to go through it, and my graduation, and come up with a lot of plans to make through. So I was able to graduate. I was able to stay here legally, so, and then as the recently like verses that I hold it show, that was in Isaiah chapter 40, and the verse is 29. They say, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no mind, He increased strength. And Isaiah 41, verse 10, he say, Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. So I think it's trust in God because He is a live God, you know, and He is the one who always, even when you get in the last minute, when you think that's it, it's not gonna work, but if you trust,
Whew,
He's gonna honor your faith. He,
beautiful.
that's my advice that I had to say.
I love it. Thank you so much. Tania, I saw your life the past 3 years from beginning to now. You've always had a love for God. You've always had the challenges, but then to always see how God always provided, like at that last minute,
Yes.
every year, it's like, wow, God, I see you working mightily in Tania's life, and what an inspiration and encouragement you have been to me, to the rest of the faculty, because we have seen
Amen.
your struggles and we know that God always provided.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. So congratulations to you. You recently just graduated. You are done with your MS in nutrition and dietetics. So, woohoo, you did
I
it.
know, I know. It's just, I feel so amazing. Sometimes I feel, whoa, what a journey where I really like grew up, grew like um, my faith got even more stronger than was before.
Yeah.
And I was like, despite all the experience, the struggles, the mountains, God showed me that He is there and I can trust Him.
We love God, don't we? How he
Mhm.
takes care of you, all of us. Thank you. Thank
Amen.
you. And right now, as we're recording this, I know you already mentioned this, that your family is waiting for God to pull you through this another situation for your visa. And right, so you're waiting for the waiver for the visa.
Yes, we apply for our green card, and now we are in the legally situation that we are waiting. We can stay here in US until our green card get here. But we first, before all the green card be approved, we needed a waiver first because our visa was J1, and day one they need the first process and the waiver, and then we are waiting now for this one more miracle to happen.
Yeah.
So once the waiver is approved, then a work permit can be approved, and then while we waiting for the green card, but we still can work here.
Okay. So, everyone that's listening, please be praying. I know before we started our conversation today, we prayed. We've been praying. And so that's the miracle that we're all waiting for. And we know that God is going to come through for you and your family.
Amen. I
Mhm.
trust him. I know
He's going to make it happen.
yes.
All right. Thank you, Tania. Thank you for being here and for sharing from your heart and for sharing how God has worked through you. I am so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Noval. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being part of this journey. You always been praying in all class. You always ask if anyone has a prayer request, and you always were available. Us to go and talk and pray. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all this opportunity, all this process.
Oh, Tania, you're so welcome. You know that myself and all of our faculty, we're always there for you guys. Even when you're done with us, when you've graduated, we're still here for you guys because we love all of you and we care for you
Oh, thank
forever and
you.
always.
Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate it.
All right. May God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Noval. God bless you too.